Welcome to this explainer. Most of us rarely stop to think about the massive network of pipes buried right beneath our streets. But today, we're diving deep into the highly strategic and, quite frankly, massive financial plan that keeps the clean water flowing and the wastewater safely managed across Durham region. Okay, let's kick things off with a question we completely take for granted every time we walk over to the sink. What does it actually take to make sure clean, safe drinking water comes out of that tap instantly, and that all our wastewater vanishes without wrecking the environment? Well, the answer relies on a staggering amount of infrastructure, some incredibly dedicated people, and naturally some serious financial planning. It takes a proposed budget of, wait for it, over $419 million for the 2022 business year. Yeah, let that sink in. That massive number covers both the water supply and the sanitary sewage utilities. Understanding exactly where that money goes is going to reveal just how complex this invisible network truly is. To wrap our heads around this massive investment, we'll hit 5 key areas. First, the invisible utility network itself. 2, supplying safe drinking water. 3, managing sanitary sewage. 4, strategic priorities for 2022. And finally, number 5, exactly how we're funding that $419 million budget. Let's jump right into part 1, the invisible utility network, a top-down journey. Right off the bat, we need to understand that this network isn't just some abstract spreadsheet exercise. It's a harsh, physical reality that demands constant maintenance. We're talking about dedicated crews out there doing grueling work, often in freezing, harsh winter conditions. Whether they're repairing a sudden water main break, doing spot repairs on damaged sewers, or digging deep trenches, these teams are out in the elements, literally guaranteeing our service isn't interrupted. And the sheer volume these crews handle, it is absolutely mind-blowing. When you combine the targets for 2022, the region is tasked with treating and transporting over 253,000 megaliters of water and wastewater annually. Now, to put that into perspective, a single megaliter is 1 million liters. So we are essentially talking about moving oceans of water every single year. You just can't move that kind of volume without incredibly robust, well-funded infrastructure. Which brings us perfectly to part 2, supplying safe drinking water, sourcing and distribution. So, supplying potable water that actually meets the super strict requirements from the Ministry of the Environment isn't easy. It requires massive infrastructure. Take the Oxbridge Water Tower, for instance. It's a highly visible piece of a much larger, mostly hidden puzzle. The region is operating multiple surface water plants, dozens of municipal groundwater wells, plus all sorts of storage facilities and pumping stations spanning the east, central, and north parts of the region, just to make this happen. And maintaining this whole system, it involves a really intricate web of proactive programs. They aren't just waiting around for pipes to break. We're talking about foam swabbing, actively hunting down microscopic leaks, and using cathodic protection, which actually uses electrical currents to stop metal pipes from rusting. And the whole shebang is monitored by a centralized SCADA system. Think of it as a high-tech digital brain based right in Oshawa, processing real-time data to control the plant operations. But behind all that advanced tech, there is a totally crucial human element. You've got field operators inside the plants visually checking water levels and running complex engineering processes. And they are working perfectly in tandem with support staff who are monitoring the systems, handling customer requests, and managing the administration. It's a brilliantly coordinated team effort. And trust me, they need that level of coordination, because in 2022, this team is tasked with maintaining 2,669 kilometers of water mains. To give you an idea of that scale, that is roughly the driving distance from Toronto all the way down to Miami. That massive network serves over 184,000 water connections across the region, meaning 184,000 households and businesses are relying on this team to get it exactly right. Now, let's flip the script and look at part 3, managing sanitary sewage collection and treatment. This half of the system is anchored by 11 different treatment plants, but the real star of the show is the Duffin Creek Water Pollution Control Plant. Co-owned by Durham and York regions, this place is an absolute workhorse. It's actually one of the largest water pollution control plants in all of Ontario, treating an immense amount of sanitary sewage to make sure it meets really strict environmental discharge standards. And just like the clean water supply, this wastewater side relies heavily on scheduled, rigorous maintenance. Again, they're being proactive. They operate 51 pumping stations, execute scheduled cleaning of sewers and siphons, and perform maintenance hole spot repairs. They even run a state-of-the-art regional environmental laboratory that provides critical testing to ensure any discharged water is completely safe for the local environment. It really all comes back to the people driving these results. You've got crews out on the street doing the dirty work, safely clearing blockages and inspecting maintenance holes right alongside certified laboratory staff, meticulously testing wastewater quality in a highly controlled environment. The safety of public health and our local waterways literally rests in their hands. So, the 2022 target for this wastewater team, treating an incredible 181,179 megaliters of sanitary sewage safely. And a huge chunk of that, over 130,000 megaliters, flows directly through that Duffin Creek plant we just talked about. Moving on to Part 4, Strategic Priorities for 2022, Guiding the System. So what's actually guiding all this work? The plan outlines 3 core priorities for the year. Number 1, environmental sustainability. They're accelerating green technology and looking at resource recovery to actually reduce emissions at their plants. Number 2, service excellence. This is a major customer-first push, utilizing a My Durham 311 system to make reporting issues seamless for residents. And number 3, community vitality. Basically, expanding system capacity so traditional neighborhoods stay walkable and ensuring we have the infrastructure to actually support attainable housing for people at all stages of life. Finally, Part 5, funding the $419 million budget. Let's follow the money. Looking at expenses, it's actually fascinating to see where this cash goes. A massive 63.7% is dedicated directly to capital projects. We're talking over $267 million solely for building, upgrading, and replacing the physical infrastructure we've been talking about. Operating expenses make up the rest. You've got non-staffing costs, like materials and services, sitting at 20.5%, and the actual human staffing, the people running the show, at 15.8%. But where does the revenue come from to pay for all this? Well, almost half of it, 46.7%, comes from everyday user rates. Those are the standard bills paid by households and businesses. The next biggest chunks are development charges at 22.9%, which basically ensures new growth pays for its own infrastructure needs, and a 22.2% contribution from York Region, mostly because they co-own the Duffin Creek plant. Reserve funds and other revenues make up that final 8.2%. So I'll leave you with this. The next time you casually turn on your tap for a glass of water, will you think about this $419 million invisible network working quietly beneath your feet? It truly takes a monumental financial and human investment to ensure that a simple twist of the faucet always delivers and that our environment stays protected. Thanks so much for joining this explainer, and keep asking questions about the hidden systems that build our world.